For our last guest today, we have the most important man, Tim O'Leary. Many people know him as Tim the Ferryman, or people know him as Tim the Postman. And he is also known as Tim the Man in the Pub. And here today, we have another venture that he's got into, which is he redeveloped the old schoolhouse. And here in the front room is a beautiful reconstruction of the old school and the classroom, which will have multi-purpose use, and at the rear is a big extension for a hostel. So well done to you, Tim, and maybe you might give us a little bit of background to this project. And for as long as I know you, you are a very hard-working, passionate man about developing Whiddy, and many features in Whiddy, and you're highly respected, very hard-working, and your wife, and you provide great facilities and amenities in the island. So maybe you might give us a background to your latest venture.
You have to give me a minute, I'll stop blushing again. Thank you. Yeah, like usually when I start talking about Whiddy and stuff like that, I have to kind of go back a bit because I keep going too long. But today I think I just want to focus on this on the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse here is 130 years old, and it closed in 1992. For 2 years we had one teacher and one pupil here before it finished. And it's just another instance of how times change. The pupil that was here, the ferry didn't start until 94 actually, 93, 94. So there was no ferry in those days, so the oil company on the island would bring the teacher into Whiddy. So the last pupil here, who was at that time, I suppose, for the last years, he was 10 or 11. He would get up in the morning, he lived just over the road here, Whiddy here. Get up in the morning, brush his teeth, have his breakfast, whatever. He would go out to his front door, he would sit into his car, he would drive 2.5 miles over to the oil ferry terminal, collect his teacher, and drive her to school. So that's that's a big difference in things. How they passed the day, I don't know, but they both turned out fine anyway. I was talking one time about the school. We had people saying they were telling about the history of school, and the cold mornings going to school and walk to school, and of course, you know, you have to be very careful if there's one of your own, there's a neighbour going down the road. She said, there was no for you. She said, you used to ride a donkey to school. We had a donkey. So it was a different time. Like, I went to school here, my grandfather went to school here, my father went to school here. So we have a long tradition to school. I'm sure we all had different experiences. This is actually the second school that was in the island. There was 2 schools in the island at one time. And this school was built in 1887. But when this school was built, they couldn't accommodate all the children in this one school. So for a short period, we had 2 schools operating there. I have a picture there, I'll show you the bottom of the video there to show you, of this school in 1930 in this photograph. And we keep this photograph below the bar as well. And unfortunately, a woman who passed away this year, Maura Daly, she was Maura Cronin. She was from the island, and she was 97, 98, I'm not sure what age she was, but when she was about 90, she named everybody in this picture from 1930. So it's a lovely record to have, and we have it belong to school. But that picture was taken at the game of the school, and in those days it was a 2-teacher school. Still the one room, it was never a 2-room school. But that's only 5th and 6th class. So in this room that we have here, in the 1930s, there was 80 children in this room. So, you know, how they got them all in here, I don't know, but I suppose they did. Yeah, and we felt like there was a lot of teachers I should have brought with me today on the school's collection from 1937. There were some great stories and great traditions. The teacher who was at the school in the 1930s was a man named Conor Rowe from Cairton, and he married a Burke girl on the island and went to Clonakilty afterwards, but he was in charge of preparing all this of the school's collection that's in Douglas, and some of the stories were great. And like for me personally, my uncle Danny died in the 1950s, so I didn't know him, and there was poems written by him and by my uncle Timmy that all did know he was in America. It was lovely to see those writing, and I think everybody should try and find. My sister's a teacher in Wexford, so she put me, she got the Whiddy one from me. So I think anyone should try and find those. They're very important. You know, there's great records, there's songs, poems, and all those kind of traditions. I was listening to Angela a while ago, and she was talking about visiting, a neighbour being sent over for paraffin and stuff. It reminded me of a story. The next house over the road here is Burke's house. Now, unfortunately, the man in the house, Denny Burke, was drowned. He had 6 small kids. And his wife, Eileen, was a lovely woman, but Denny's brother, Donny, came in then and helped to rear the family, and he was a fantastic man. He was such a hard-working man, and he was a lovely man. But when I went to school here, I think before the school closed, there was water here, but there was no running water in the school when I was here. Out the back, there was 2 dry toilets, and there were just a hole in the tank of timber. And I was wondering how we were going to find it when we tore down the tiles for the building, but thank goodness composting had taken care of all that. But when I started, first of all, there's a bog across the road, and we'd be sitting across the road for water into the bog. But of course, some black arse couldn't be, push something into the bog while they were in the dome, so that was the end of us going to the bog. So we would be sent over to Donny Burke for water. And Donny had a bull, like a kind of department bull. And I suppose he was an Angus bull because he was a small bull. But Donny was lovely. I have to say now, I had 2 female teachers for this year. They were very good teachers. There was no corporal punishment or anything like that. We never had any of that kind of stuff. But your punishment was, if you were acting the scut, you would miss your turn going to Donny Burke for water. To Donny and Eileen Burke. And that was like hell on earth. It was pure torture because first of all, Donny would buy food back to sweets, and Eileen would have something as well. So you get a sweet or a bit of cake or you get something every time you go for the water, and there'd be 2 to go over for the water. And then they said we could go over, then Donny might be shifting cattle, so we'd go away shifting cattle with Donny, and then we'd be saying, Jesus, Donny, this is a great crack, but we're away. No, we'd be killed when we go back. And I said, they won't be able to say this, and Donny would march us up to the door. And he'd say, don't say what to the children know. He said, tell them their fault. He said, the pump was broken. Sure, there was no pump, you only should bucket down the well. And I think the teacher knew that too, but she knew that we were getting a bit of education over in Donny's as well. And that's what I was coming to know. The education we got with the bull was an Angus bull, and I suppose at that time a lot of the old cows they were still old big Frisian cows. So the bull was vertically challenged. He would have had a job to do his job, so he'd be put into the crush. So the cow would be put into the crush, and there'd be a big timber box put behind her, and the bull would hop up in the box. And that was our biology lessons taken care of. That was a job spare for the teacher. So there are kind of great school memories that I have in this place. I think there was about 19 or 20 when I started going to school here, but a lot of the children at that age, at that time, would have stayed on until they were 14 and then finished school here then. So when I finished, I think, I'm not really sure if it was about 7 or 8, and then it dwindled down for the next 10 or 12 years, and it ended up at 11 years, I think it ended up at 1. So yeah, it fell into disrepair then. It was closed in 92. So about 6 years ago, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, I went to Father Cahan about it. And he was very helpful, but everything takes a long time to sort out legal issues and all that. So 6 years later, after trying to learn, this is where we are. And we have the furniture of school that's just been cleaned up, and that will be put back in here. And I think that will make this a very special place. And the walls are bare at the moment, but my intention is that when you walk in the door of the school, it'll be like any school that you'd have had before with little charts and diagrams. But these charts and diagrams will tell the story of Whiddy. So I won't go too much into it because once I start off the story, we'll keep it here till tomorrow. But Whiddy was inhabited 5000 BC. We had the American Air Force here, we had the British Army here, we had huge socialists everywhere, we had fishing fleets, we had, flax was grown on the island, corn, and it's not that long ago. My sister Mary, she's the second up from me now. My mother was minding corn the day she was born, and she got a pain and she went to hospital. And that's not that long ago. Sure, money got through it. But these things, even though they're not that long ago, to the generation that we're now, the younger generation, it's completely different. So, hopefully that people will come in here. And I actually do think that younger people, they have a great interest in this. And I think every year it's getting more and more. So that's what I would like this to be a place where people can walk in, look around, and just, absorb it in their own time, not having facts be shoved at them, but they can pick what they want to look at and, get a bit of the history there and feel for the place. I'm extremely proud to be from Whiddy. I'm very extremely proud of the people who came before me. Not just my family, or my family too, but all the other islanders. They faced great adversity. They had a lot of extra challenges. And they took it all on head on, and they did well, and most of them prospered. And they had hard lives at times, and the winters were hard and all that, but you know, it was a good place to grow up. We had great fun here. It's a different island now, I suppose. Look, there's only 4 people who were born on the island live here now, but that's fine because islands transition and places transition, and people who live on the edge like us, we're used to transition. We know nothing stays the same, and we'll survive and we'll change around. I suppose I don't have much more to say in the school, just that, you know, a big tradition of the island was like everyone else was scraped. There was a man in the island, I think it was during the Second World War, there were 7 or 8 islanders joined the Irish Army. And there was one man from the island called Johnny Minahan, he was known as Johnny Lamshett. He's dead now, he would have been quite proud to be known as Johnny Lamshett. His uncle was one of them. And he told me that the recruiting officer said to him to join the army, he said, in the name of God, is there anything else you can do? He said, this is the worst trip, this is... But there was nothing else there. So 7 lads joined the army from the island, from different families, but one man stayed on in the army, and he's dead now, but my aunt married a brother of his. But he became, I think he was a lieutenant colonel, and he lived above in Kildare. But when he was young on the island, he was a great poet and songwriter, and he liked to write songs about different events and recitations and stuff. So, to my shame, I don't have them all off by heart, but I have a little bit of help here with me to help me out, and I like to recite one and sing one for you, if that's okay. So, the first one is about the Whiddy Island Ball, which was held on Christmas 45. And I remember there was a woman on the island, Tess O'Leary, she's dead now unfortunately, but this was her part to be solved, and I remember she gave the recitation one night, and Sean Desmond, whose wife was the postmaster, said to me, would you believe it? He said, I was inside in I think it was Ma'am Murphy's bar, and this now was about in the 2000s anyway, and he was saying, these 2 lads, McLeary and Dennis, came in from Whiddy to collect the barrels of porter to bring them in for the Randball, because there were a couple of hundred people with it that time. And they said, come on away. And he said, there'll be a great Randball with it. And he said, I won't, he said, because I'm going working for a Driscoll fella for a few weeks the next day. He said, and I'll probably be there long enough. So 50 years later, he was telling me about this. He came to there and he stayed for 50 years. So this is known as the Whiddy Island Ball, and it was written by Denny Burke from Whiddy Island. He was Lieutenant Colonel in the Irish Army afterwards. I'm sure by now you've heard about the Whiddy Island Ball, but if not, perhaps dear listeners will allow me to recall an old and cherished function by custom kept alive, the Wren and Ball of Whiddy held on Christmas 45. For weeks before St. Stephen's Day, our island was upset by detailed preparations which are talked of even yet. With flags and poles and buntings and streamers by the score, there seemed a host of angels as they passed from door to door. From morning red till twilight wane, the gallant show moved on. Despite a blizzard on the main, they struck for town at 1. In Bantry they were welcomed with enthusiastic cheer when they heard the Christmas greetings and blessings for New Year. And when the day was over, they set up at West Bar to recreate their energy with toast and caviar. The money then was counted, and it proved a good sum too. The chairman then presented the programme to his crew. Then came the trying question as to where to hold the ball. 'Twas a popular opinion that there would be none at all. To accommodate a party of up to 70 or more was a problem of dimension for your average country floor. But their trouble was rewarded. At last a house was found, a popular selection, and it suited all around. The date was fixed by ballot, the time 7:30 sharp. It was advisable to cross the rock before it got too dark. The patrons came along in style all through the early night. With storm lamps and lanterns they proved a brilliant sight, while anxious lips were waiting for the tapping of the kiln, with incidental music played by Ped from Garris Hill. The band played Chase Me Charlie to a lively 2-step note, and a popular selection was The Peeler and the Goat. Of set dances there were many, of waltzes 1 or 2, while an encore vocal item was by Maggie of the Room. And out in the back kitchen there was merriment and fun, as the barrel poured its liquor out to each and every one. 'Twas cockcrow in the morning, when the curtain on the fete began to fall, and a memorable function was the Whiddy Wren and Ball. So that was written by Denny Burke in 1945. So I just have to set up there a second to get the words of the song. It was a great song.
Very good.
Okay?
Yep.
So the next is a song, and it's written about a gig race in Bantry again. I think the regattas in Bantry had flagged for a while, and they were kind of revived in 1957. And this song goes back to that year, and in that year, believe it or not, Whiddy had actually 2 gig crews. And again, this song was written by Dinny Burke, and my father actually, he wasn't the losing side, he was in the old 40-footer, he was one of the younger gig crews, they were beaten by the old Whiddy lads on the gig. And I remember saying about 9 or 10 years ago I was blowing Bear Island, and I said to a friend of mine in Bear Island, I said, I have this song, I said, that was written on Whiddy about the regatta in 57. I said, well, I sent it on to you. I said, no, I asked him, had he ever heard of it? And he said, no. And I said, well, send it on to you. And he said, you know what, maybe you better keep it, because he said, there's no way we'd have wrote a song, he said, if he lost the race. So he wasn't too interested in it. So here we go now. Another problem with COVID, it's been so long since I sang a song, no, I'm a bit dry, but we'll do the best we can for it. As the day did draw near, the excitement was tense. To get practice and training, 'twas time to commence. To win the gig race was the talk all the while, with the stalwarts of Whiddy and those of Bear Island. These islands, those sisters, had all down the years been true friendly rivals in all sporting fears. Bear Island had 1 gig and Whiddy had 2, the new 40-footer and the famous All Blue. In Whiddy 'twas thought that we hadn't a chance, that the gig from Bear Island would lead in the dance. So each night after practice a meeting would sit to discuss the improvements each critic thought fit. And when they'd break up to retire for the night, each one was convinced that what he said was right. Confusion was somewhat the rule of the day, and the best thing to do was each have his say. At last the day with its bunting and flags broke down bright and stormy o'er Bantry's wild crags. The stewards had some problems in knowing what to do, as the gig race was scheduled for 1:45. Our faces grew long and our hearts they sank low, and the weathermen forecast a gale it would blow. With others more hopeful said 'twould just be coarse, and the wireless announced we'd have winds of gale force. We patiently waited till close on high tide, when the experts foretold that the gale would first side. The verdict was issued and 6 was the hour, with a call from the bank to the point of Rainrower. And soon it was clear that the race would begin. 2 trawlers were chartered to bring the crews in, with decks closely packed, each one sitting tight. They were like crates of gamecocks setting off to a fight. With a blast of the siren, the great race was on. The pace good and steady, the stroke tough and long. The fans shouted widely to spur on their crews. Push on their Bear Island, come on, Whiddy Blues. They raced helter-skelter for a half-mile or more. When at times 'twas so close they were all o'er for o'er, till the new 40-footer with a famous old force showed a clean pair of heels for the rest of the course. On nearing the piers it was plain to foretell that Whiddy had first place and second as well, and just in that order they passed flying o'er, and a wave to acknowledge the multitude's roar. So good luck to old Whiddy, her gigs and her crews, and good luck to Bear Island so gamely to lose. Let's all drink a toast to our own Bantry men, how may we all live and prosper to race here again. Should I?